What's going on, YouTube? I don't know why I do that with my eyebrows. It's a weird thing. But what's going on? So I wanted to talk with you real quick about what's going on with me and really focus on the last month or so and how I prepped for Three Gun Nationals, which I'll leave for in 2 days. Pretty excited. So probably the last, well, I don't know, I might do something from the road. We'll see. So my trip to Three Gun Nationals, probably good cut point for that is back on the 7th of April. 7th April, I had an arm surgery, which kind of put a pause in all things me and shooting and really even fitness. So that kind of paused everything. Um, I get out and work out a lot, right? I'm still in the Army. I still do a lot of things, and the Army still expects me to do stuff and things. I'm a pretty active guy. So to kind of display that, this is my little, fitness tracker on my phone. You see that 1 week right there where there's not much going on. That's the week I had surgery. Other than that, I've still been doing stuff, right? So even after I had surgery, after that week, I was out walking 2 to 4 miles a day, trying to do stuff, trying not to be a fat piece of shit, which turns out I am. I'm not going to show you my bod pod results, but we're losing weight, down about 10 pounds here in the last month or so, which is good. Actually, yeah, we'll say month, 2 months probably. But we're doing pretty good. So April, like I said, April I walked. Fitness wise, 6th of May. So I had the surgery on 7th of April. 6th of May was the first time I was able to run after that. And then I didn't touch the weights until the 20, I think that's at 29th of May. So right before I went down up to South Carolina for the shotgun shoot. So 29th of May. So it's really been putting me on the back burner, my fitness on the back burner. Normally I'm a run. 2 years ago I was running and lifting 5 days a week each, and I was crushing life. Right now the goal is 3 days, 2 days of weightlifting, 2 days of running, and then like an agility day that's kind of a hybrid day to make my 45-year-old body move faster. So yeah, so that's kind of the fitness side. Doing pretty good right now. Run times are decent, back down around 9 miles around the neighborhood, 9 minute miles around the neighborhood, which is good for me. Back to benching 80-pound dumbbells. And I haven't really gone after deadlift and squat yet. Kind of kept it easy on those. Got some problems in my lower back and trying just not to get hurt there. So, but doing pretty good, and then doing all the retirement stuff for the Army. Yeah. So dry fire wise, it was a much tougher road. So about a week after surgery, so on the 15th of April, I started strong hand only dry fire. And looking back at my dry fire journal, which I do have, it is a really cool line rule. And I'm getting better about writing more, but back then I would just write like what I did. So if I go back to 15 April, it just says afternoon, strong hand only, holster draw and presentation. And then I was reading a book about stuff, so I was doing some transitions with some weights and stuff like that. I was pretty intermittent in April with writing in the book, and then kind of got a lot better at it in May. Really, since the 6th of May, I've been doing much better at keeping up with my dry fire journal. But on 6th of May, I was still doing strong hand only, and I stayed strong hand only until the 13th of May. That was my first two-handed pistol dry fire session. So about 5 weeks after surgery, 5, 6 weeks after surgery, first time I was able to point the wrist on the left hand and put any kind of grip pressure in that. And it still isn't perfect, but it works. That same week, I also started with movement and running for workouts. So that kind of the 6 week mark after surgery, I was able to start doing stuff. And if you look at, that's May, June, and July. That's about 60 days out from Three Gun Nationals. I was also doing shotgun work then. I had signed up to shoot this shotgun match up in South Carolina. So I was just doing some really slow belt to shoulder kind of stuff. And again, making that good C grip down the barrel, put a lot of stress on that wrist and on the grip. So I wasn't doing it with a lot of force, but I was really just building the index, which really was fine for me. 24 May was the first live rounds I fired after surgery. So 24 May, I went and shot a Geisley 2-gun match. If you haven't shot a Geisley match, they're fun, but it's more of like a AR PRS match, a PRS match designed for ARs. Nothing's past 700. The targets are maybe a little bigger. And then there's some pistol sprinkled in. It was a great match down in arena. I had fun. I would go shoot another one, but the weekends just haven't worked out yet. I have other matches those same weekends. And then the following weekend after the guys, so the guys' match was 24, 25 May, 31 May to 1 June. I was up in South Carolina shooting that match. The first real weightlifting session I did was 29 May. So right before I went to South Carolina, I was just looking at the calorie count. That was the first time I burned more than like 200 calories in what I call a functional fitness. That's what I hit on the watch when I'm lifting weights. I do a functional fitness. So that's the first time I burned more than 200 calories. So I was doing some light stuff before then, just rebuilding range of motion in my legs. But that was probably the first session where I did 6 exercises with decent weight. I started rebuilding the base, or really started pushing it again. Unfortunately, after that weekend, I want to say life happened. I have a family too, right? So the weekend after that, wife and girls and I went down to Florida for the weekend, so I didn't get much dry fire in. Not allowed to dry fire in the vacation. That was made clear. And the week after that, my sister and her family came to visit. I'm sorry, there was a 2-week gap in there. So I dry fired a little bit, shot a USPSA match on the 15th of June, Father's Day. And then, what is that holiday on the night? Was 19th of June. Bottom line, we had a 4-day weekend then, and my sister came into town that weekend. So just had a lot of stuff going on. But about the 22nd, so they left that Sunday, the 22nd, and that is what I would say when my 3-gun calendar, this is my little calendar I built for Multigun Nationals for dry fire. This is how I structured it. That's when I started in earnest with that, and I've done pretty good. The only day I've missed was 4th of July, and that was just, we had a lot to do around the house. We have the pool in the neighborhood, so we ended up hosting all the parties, and I did that. I've managed to get one range day a week, and I shot 2 2-gun matches. I shot the Marion Road 2-gun match on the 20th of June, Riverbend Gun Club 2-gun PCSL on the 5th of July. Both finished around 75-ish% in both of those, which is a good finish for me. And most of these days, the really good days, most of these days I've got in an AM and a PM session. So my AM sessions are, because I do have to go to work and I don't do much right now, about a half an hour, and then PM another 15 to 30 minutes. So I'm doing pretty good, but that's usually spread across 2 guns. That's one thing I've tried to do, is make myself transition between guns. So I'll typically do the same drill, say if it's a presentation drill. So it'll be 10 draws from the holster with the pistol, and then 10 presentations of a long gun. And I've kind of gone back and forth. I do pistol shotgun one day, pistol rifle next day, pistol shotgun one day, pistol rifle next day. Until this last week, I started kind of hitting all 3 guns in a day and working transitions between guns in the garage there. The other thing I did was I'll throw a picture of this up there. I put some threw some 1/3 scale targets out in the woods by the house. They're at like 75, 70, and 45 yards, which if you think about it and you multiply times 3, that's like 225, right? So that's pretty good. Working those offhand and off a barricade. So that kind of gets us to where I am. Like, that was what I decided to do back in May and June, how I decided to prep for the match. Now we're getting down to the nitty-gritty of the match. Last week, this is like Sunday, July 13th, right before the match. So last Thursday, Mr. Adam Maxwell sent out the matchbook, and I was getting itchy wondering where it was. Apparently everybody else was too, because he wrote something like that in the email. But he sent out the matchbook, and matchbooks are hit and miss, right? So important things from the matchbook. 1, I've never been there before, so there's a map. So I've got that on my book on the cover. 2, this is the Friday stages. I'm shooting 5 stages on Friday, and then you flip the back of my book, Saturday and Sunday, and I'm shoot 5 on Friday, 4 on Saturday, and 3 on Sunday. Kind of a weird breakdown, but it gets everybody done by like 2 on Sunday. Gives them an arbitration period, and then a word ceremony decent for those that are going to fly out late Sunday night. I am not. I'm driving back Monday. had to build my wife an itinerary. That had to get done. The other thing I do, I'm not a checklist person, but for this, I built the packing checklist. All right, this is pretty significant, but it's also pretty detailed. I don't know why my computer keeps trying to go to sleep on me. There we go. Uh, Pretty detailed packing checklist for me, right? It goes by gun, what I'm bringing, ammo, and then a lot of clothing. This is just the stuff that is, and then my little electronic section down there. Um, the other thing I do, and this is me kind of being old school, but it's how my Army brain works. I am used to operating off of like maps and, and graphics, and I can look at a map and I can visualize an operation, and I can remember, where things are supposed to be in time and space based off that. So when they give out matchbooks and they give you a stage diagram, super helpful for me. Gives me something to visualize off of. Obviously, this is not what it's going to look like on the ground, but I can take this and make notes when I'm doing stage walkthroughs. It's just something else. In my Army brain, I call it a sector sketch, but it helps me out quite a bit. So what am I looking for when I get the stage briefs? The number one thing, maybe I'll like embed one in here. I'm looking at what gun am I starting with? Am I starting with rifle, shotgun, or handgun? A lot of these say loaded per ready condition 8.1.2.1 and staged. I need to look up what 8.1.2.1 is. I'm not sure. I do have my USPSA RO multi-gun endorsement, but I don't have it memorized, so I need to go back and look. I believe that is loaded bolt forward with a round in the chamber on safe, but I'm not sure. There's only one stage in here that specifies loaded on an empty chamber. I believe that's only with one gun. I will confirm that obviously during stage walkthroughs. But yeah, and then kind of looking like through here. So I look at rifle 16 rounds, pistol 28 rounds. Gonna have to do a pistol reload. Static clays, I add up the birdshot static clays and steel, and that's all under 20 rounds. So that's one shotgun mag, right? So as I look through this, that's kind of what I'm looking at is how important a reload is going to be. Are there any crazy start positions? Do I need to practice slinging stuff? I don't see, there's nothing here that I see that requires a rifle sling. I'll have one in the bag anyway, but that's not something I need to crash dry fire with here in the last 96 hours before the match starts, right? I probably won't even do the unloaded start because it's not like I'm switching to it middle. It's just right there, so it's a very easy key thought of pick up, gun, load, and go. The range is pretty interesting. I wasn't not familiar with the range. This is a big difference from what I'm used to from East Coast matches. I have only shot majors at 3 locations. I've shot them at Clinton House, I've shot them at Griffin Group, and then Coleman's Creek was where Fall Brawl was last year. All 3 of those have significant long-range targets, right? So both Memorial and Coleman's Creek, a lot of stuff out to 500 to 700 yards, and 300 to 400 yards is just kind of all day. Most of your stages have that. Other thing here, I only see one thing that looks like a jungle run, a possible jungle run. I'm not even sure. I'm just kind of looking. It's a dot out in the middle and the red bay far away, and there's no stage diagram. So I'm assuming that one might be that's stage 6. If anybody's looking at it, I'm assuming that might be a jungle run or a jungle run into a bay. Not 100% sure, but that's my 3rd stage on Friday, so I'll make sure I get a good walkthrough on that one. But that's kind of what I do for match prep. Obviously, I've got all the hotel reservations. A little bit nervous about my hotel reservation. Probably do a short video on the Country Inn and Suites in Forest Lake. The 3-Gun Facebook group said it was pretty good, and then I looked at the reviews, and like the last 2 months, the reviews have been pretty harsh. Broken ice machine, pool's broken, not very clean rooms. So we'll see. I'm going back up to Forest Lake in August for the shotgun qualifier. May or may not be staying at the old Country Inn and Suites. Maybe paying a little bit more. Going a little further south, driving a little bit more. It'll be okay if we are. Yeah, driving. Got some snacks. Got some drinks, 1,200 miles one way. Gonna be rough. Excited about stopping at on the way up there. I'm gonna roll the dice on the route on one of the states I'm spending a lot of time driving through. But that's gonna allow me to stop at Vortex in the middle of a 700-mile day, stretch my legs. I'm sure there'll be something there that has to come in the truck with me. Um, and then on the way back, I'm going to come down through Iowa and save, reduce the amount of time in that one state that shall not be named right now. According to the internet and the lawyers on the actual lawyers on the internet, there's this thing called FOTA, and I should be good because I'm just transiting the state, but we'll see. Really don't want to tangle with a Barney Fife in the great state of Illinois. It's okay. Oh, I said it. Okay, that's what I got going on. Multigun Nationals coming up. I will be up there Wednesday night, stage walks, registration, side in, confirmation 0 on Thursday, and then bright and early Friday morning, have to be on the stage at 7:30. That's the last thing I wanted to look at for a 08 start time. One thing that's a little bit annoying, and I get it, right? So the Vortex is sponsoring a beer garden Saturday night, which you're like, that's really cool. There's going to be dinner, there'll be some drinks, it'll be really cool. And it's from like 6 to 9 p.m., which is really cool. Unless you're the PM squad that's shooting, your last stage starts at 6:30, which means it's an hour and a half, which means you're not going to get done till 8. How late am I going to want to stay to have to be back on the range in 12 hours? Probably not very long. Looking at the light data for Forest Lake, sunrise this morning was at 5:36, sunset was at 8:58. I kind of thought it would be a little later than that. I guess they aren't as far north as I thought they were. But the cool thing is there'll be plenty of daylight for all this. If this is north-south east, I will not have to shoot into the sun very much. If someone's shooting stages 1, 2, or 3 early in the morning, they might be shooting into an easternly sun, and that could be problematic because what is that, bay 3 or 1? I can hardly read it. There's one 400-yard bay, it's only a long range bay, but that's, like I said, that's a big difference. Everything else is pretty small, only one 400-yard bay. We'll see how it goes. All right, that's what I got. Less than 20 minutes. You're welcome, YouTube. I got to shave. Got to go to the dentist tomorrow. Got to get a haircut tomorrow. I feel like a hippie. And if anybody's watching this and going to Minnesota, we'll see you out there. Have a good one.